Spoken label. I haven't thought about flying for a long time. I haven't dreamed of that moment when I was alone above the clouds for a long time. I haven't dreamed of waking up in a room surrounded in blue and green grass for more years than I could dream of remembering. I haven't walked back into the past or scratched on the doors of my origins, where it all came from, since I held up that cape for the last time.
Return to Kent Town 10th Year Anniversary Edition is a revised version of Andian's first poetry book. The book can be purchased from Amazon and it contains numerous additional material.
Spoken label.
Hi, it's Andian from Spoken Label. Thank you today for streaming or downloading another episode of Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up on beginning of 2016 and as of speaking has currently nearly 300 sessions. The full archive is available on Spoken Label bandcamp.com. Although it is available for free for stream and download if you wish, I am always grateful for any sort of kind of donation to enable me to keep the running costs of this podcast going. And enjoy. Take care. Bye bye.
Spoken label.
Hi guys, Andy Ed, Spoken Label, back in the house. And I nearly said a Tuesday night, but it's a Monday night actually. I'm getting mixed up today, so it's it all already. Anyway, we're over to a lovely little island today that my brother's actually been to, but I've never actually been to. And hi, Gavin, if you listen to this, because I know Gavin's been over to this island about 3 times now. And every time he goes over there and works business, he always ends up getting stuck over there for about 4 days because of storms. So I believe it's a lot nicer than that. So we're over to the Isle of Man, and we've got a lovely lady with me called Jackie Grace today. And I met Jackie on an online Zoom. I've forgotten what's the slam? I've got my words back then. Fairly recently for OB Hive, run by Clive Osman and Nick Lovell, and she was brilliant. So, henceforth, why I've asked Jackie to come on today. So, Jackie, for people that don't know you, obviously, would you like to introduce yourself first of all? Tell everybody else who you are. Have you always lived at the Isle of Man, or have you lived elsewhere?
I was born over here, went to school over here, and then I studied in Leeds for 5 years, and then in London for 5 years, and then I came home to have the kids. Well, came home with the kids because I had the kids when I was away. Well, no, I didn't. I had one child when I was away. I came home pregnant in the second. Yeah. And it's Jackie Morrey Grace.
Apologies. Right, so
right.
You can say
Jackie Grace. That's my maiden name. I'm happy with that.
That's why I'm reading it wrong as always. So now, obviously, Jackie, I know you do a lot of creative stuff. I know that from reading up on you already. But obviously, take us right back to the beginning then. Where did all this come from then originally?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. Okay, right. So I've always been a musician. So I started piano at 7. When I was 9, I was really lucky because I lived on the Isle of Man, and I had that really free childhood that everyone dreams of, when it was like you come home from school, you go out and you play until your parents call you in. And some kids came round as classes and they said, if you want to join a brass band, come down to the village hall and whatever. And I just thought, I was 9 years old, so I hopped on my BMX and I cycled down there, and I came back with a trombone, and that was and I fell in love with it. And that's by the age of 10, I was teaching trombone to all the little ones. I was first trombone in senior band. I was my thing. I got my grade 8 at 14, and then I was doing piano all the time as well. But then I basically, because it is the Isle of Man, and I didn't, after I got my grade 8, there was no one really to teach me. So, it all fell apart and I got into other stuff. So I stopped playing and I didn't take it up again. I'll cut to the end really quickly, but I didn't take it up again until I was 21. I did a postgrad. I decided to train as a music therapist. So I did a postgrad in jazz because, I didn't feel like I was creative at all. I didn't feel like I had a creative bone in my body. Although I did love poetry when I was at school, but it just wasn't it wasn't encouraged. In fact, it was probably more actively discouraged, I would say, not from the teachers, just a general kind of environment. It wasn't a thing. So we didn't have it like the kids have got now, when they have poetry slams for the kids and everything. It was more you just didn't do it, So I tried a little bit because I was a bit goth and people took the piss, and so I stopped. And then I just didn't. So that's kind of the early thing. And what happened, I then went to music college, did a 2-year postgrad in jazz trombone. It was contemporary, jazz, contemporary and popular music is my postgrad title, right?
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is a little bit, at Leeds. And I just felt like I'd found my place, but I still didn't feel like a musician. And I really, because I struggled, I actually struggle a little bit with processing kind of sound. So all the way through my training, I got really good, because I was really good at reading music, you know, and all those kind of things, but I couldn't process the sounds. So it was really hard for me training to be a jazz musician. And then I went off. I had a year at home, and then I had a year back in London doing the music therapy training. And my very first day there, I just thought, this is not for me. You know, it just wasn't for me at all. And I did finish a training, and I worked as a music therapist in London, and I had my eldest son, and then you know, fell pregnant with my second one. But what happened after all that, I can't remember the original question, right? It's quite a, am I carrying on my story now?
Carry your story, yeah. That's why, carry your story. Well, I'll catch up eventually. Yeah,
you can ask me questions in between, Andy, right?
I might do.
So it's a bit long-winded, right? But what happened after, right, when I was at music college, at the end of music college, I got glandular fever, yeah? And then shortly after, I can't remember, whenever I got pregnant, so I developed like clinical insomnia, like proper, I forgot how to fall asleep. Yeah, God, it was really bad. And I had like dream baby who slept through everything. He slept through my trombone practice every day for 2 hours. He slept through it. And he didn't sleep through piano. He didn't like that. But anyway, so I carried on. I was a jazz musician in London. You know, I had a little residency. I was playing with some awesome musicians. You know, you're now here on Radio 3 all the time, a lot of the kind of jazz warrior gang from the Brixton group. And it was just, it was amazing. But then, you know, got pregnant, had a baby, got pregnant again, and thought, you know, being that organised, but I wasn't my partner, my husband now. And we just thought, oh, sod this, we can't be musicians in London with 2 little kids. We were so broke, right? We were so poor.
You would be, yeah.
Yeah. And I was trying to work as a music therapist and like as a brass teacher as well. And I was just knackered. I couldn't sleep. And so we just upped sticks and we moved back home where both sets of grandparents were. And that was okay. So that happened. And then I'm trying to get through this as fast as I can do. But what happened, because this is such a big story, I had my daughter 13 years ago, and after her I got very, very sick. So I'd had all these other problems with the insomnia and everything, and the glandular fever, which I swear all kind of led to this, you know, but my thyroid packed in is what it turned out it was. But in the meantime, I ended up, I went to a dentist. He used a tool on me. It left me with howling tinnitus. So I couldn't, and I think I'm actually going through an ADHD process of diagnosis at the minute. I couldn't turn off from this tinnitus at all, you know. And so the next 3.5 years, I went into complete psychotic kind of breakdown, you know, with newborn baby and 2 little kids. And during that time, so I had no creativity. I couldn't make music, obviously. I carried on trying to teach piano, but oh my God, I was in a bad state. And during that time, I remember one day sitting on the beach and thinking to myself, I used to write poetry, you know, a little bit, because I did. People used to take the piss, like I said before, but I did used to do it. And I was sitting there thinking, I could never do that again. My brain was so messed up. I was so ill. You know, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't communicate, I couldn't read anything, I couldn't listen to anything. And I was in extreme dark anxiety, constant panic attacks. And it really, you know, I really think I probably could have been hospitalized. It wasn't for my daughter, because I was so focused on her. So that was a bad time. And then anyway, right, we're nearly there. We're nearly there, the writing, right? I promise you. So what happened next? It's been quite a thing. I basically I discovered this thing called the Linden Method, which was, it was just, I'd spent all my money, every penny we had, on kind of trying to get well, and all the psychotherapies and everything, you know, and everything got me worse. And then I found this thing called the Linden Method, and I hadn't realized until that point I wasn't battling tinnitus, I was battling an anxiety disorder. So, and he basically explained what was going on, and he said, there's nothing wrong with you. And it was the first time I'd had anybody say to me, their starting point for the healing being, rather there's something wrong with you, we've got to fix you, it was like there's nothing wrong with you, you've got stuck in a brain loop, you've got to break the habit. And the program taught me how to break the habit. And one of the things, the really empowering things about it, it taught me rather than go inside yourself and work out all the problems and what's, all the psychotherapy stuff, it was all about looking outside and saying, what do I want my life to look like? How am I going to do it? Building in all the infrastructure to make it happen and just bloody doing it. And it was hard because I wasn't sleeping. So I'd have like maybe 3 nights of not sleeping, and still I built this structure. I would get up and I'd take my daughter to a club, or I'd go for a bike ride, or go to the supermarket. I couldn't do those kind of things. So that happened. And I got really into sport. And then a year into that, when I was just starting to get better and I was back on track, and I was training for an adventure race, and I've managed to minimize. The tinnitus was still there. I never got rid of it. But from that day, from the minute I read this guy's stuff, that I the guy who kind of helped me in the end, I swore to myself I'd never mention the word tinnitus again, you see, because it had become my life. So I stopped mentioning it, and I managed to minimize its impact on my life. And then I got slammed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, good grief. You told me about that before, just off mic. It's like, I've got a friend that suffers ME, and she's got arthritis now. And it's like, I think, and what she's done is what's very similar to what you've done. Is what she did was she learned to tackle one condition. And then like, just when you think she's got over that mood to get back to life again, something else hits her. And it's like, I think it's when your body's that sort of state weakened, it leaves you vulnerable sometimes to something else. That's why. And it says a lot about you as a person straight away. Like, you've not let it hold you back in your life.
No, and as we were just talking before about, I can't remember what we're saying now, about immune disorders and stuff. And it's in my family, and know, that kind of autoimmune stuff. And I think with hypothyroidism, which is also autoimmune, I think the stress of the breakdown, it was almost like the minute I got better, it was like my body just went, I can release all this now. And I was very, very ill. And so what happened when I was very ill, because I'd done the Linden Method, because they taught me that I needed to keep my brain on track, because I was in danger of having a relapse mentally, and it was a struggle mentally. And I was very sick because it affected every joint in my body, and I couldn't really move for a good 9 months. And then it was a much longer journey than that, and it's been very up and down. But but anyway, so I thought, I'm not going to let this get to me. And a friend said to me, because I've written some articles, believe it or not, for a really, really famous magazine called The Trombonist.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the right side of things, because I know you've done copywriting before, haven't you, as well? So
I do copywriting now.
Yeah. That's why I'll have to get you talking to my wife, because my wife's a part of copywriter as well, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why. So I'll have to put you in contact with each other. Yeah. So obviously, then, for people that I've seen, when did you get into your copywriting?
Well, the copywriting, that only came kind of just before the pandemic. And that's before that. I was over here on the Isle of Man. I ditched the music therapy with the breakdown because I hated it anyway. And I just was a piano and brass teacher. So I was teaching, trombone, trumpets, piano, stuff like that. And then the copywriting, and that's a long story in itself, Andy.
Yeah. Should have said you're a copywriter. Yeah, we'll
just
move
on the copywriter, because what happened, to get back to the novel. So I was writing. This wasn't being a copywriter. I just written some random articles for The Trombonist, right, which is not a famous magazine. I'm having a laugh, but it was,
I know. I take everything you say as it's true, right?
But it's a good magazine. So I'd done a few articles, and I got a mate who was a writer to proofread, and he said, whilst you can't move, why don't you write? And also I've redone the program that I'd done for my anxiety, and they were saying, yeah, Jackie, you ought to write. And I trained to be a life coach about the same time, but excuse my cough, it's the end of COVID. And so I basically sat down and started writing these novels. And do you know what? I never thought, like I said before, even though I did the jazz, I never thought I was creative. I thought I had, I was too tense, too tight. It just wasn't in there. And with the writing, because I had everything fell apart. Yeah, I had, when I got sick with the arthritis, I was so sick. People didn't visit me. People didn't phone. I was very much alone. I've got a family, got a husband and everything, but I was very much alone. so it was a very desperate time. So I literally became absorbed in my stories, these novels. And I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and I entered a local competition with my first ever short story and got first prize, which was a boost and gave me that kind of, ooh, you know. But I suddenly realised, to be quite honest, right, my writing was absolutely shit. Yeah. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm going through that first novel now, right? And I'm like, oh my God.
I've got about 3 or 4 incomplete novels knocking around myself.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah, and I've told myself I've got to get one done next year, and I'll let my wife Amanda have a look at the one I'm going to work on. And she turned around and said to me, "You've got a lot of work to do in that yet," because Amanda's wrote about 6 novels. And that's she's been polite.
We can keep each other accountable, yeah, because I swore to myself if I got COVID, I would get that first novel absolutely bound in shape. Got COVID, didn't I, last couple of weeks? And by day, I don't know, as soon as I got over the worst symptoms, I got into it, and I was doing like 12, 14 hours a day on it, and it did my bloody head in. And I was like, but what I did learn, I learned that I could tell a story, and that was really interesting because I didn't know I could do that. And then well, I'm going to get onto poetry now. So fast forward. It's a long story. Fast forward to about 2016, I think it was. And basically I had another relapse with the arthritis, like a really severe one. And that was like an 18-monther. But lots of stuff happened around that. And I was in a deep state of trauma. And I was severely traumatized by something that happened, which I now think that was kind of related to the ADHD, to be honest. But whatever happened, something bad happened. It triggered a massive relapse, and I couldn't get my care. I couldn't get my care properly over here, and I ended up having to shift it to England. And it was all very messy. It was awful. But on the year anniversary of that, I just woke up. Oh no, I didn't wake up. I was wide awake because I couldn't sleep and I was crying and all this kind of stuff, you know. And a poem just came, and it just came without even writing it down. It just came, and I got up and I wrote it all down. It was all just coming out of my head. And I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I've just written that's actually quite good, that, you know.
I think you find something for poetry like that, it comes unexpected sometimes.
Oh,
and that's why, I think when you're trying to become a poet, your first couple of poems come through stress or some kind of disorder anyway. And then I think your focus changes when you get to grips with it more. So I suspect this is what's happened with you, actually, Thomas.
Yeah, it is. And the one that I was so that was in 2017. That was January 2017. Again, I was very alone. All my friendships. When you get very sick like that, you're very isolated, and people fall away. You know, I've got brilliant friends, and not any reflection on my friends. We've all got young kids, you know, and we did have minor teens now, but they're all young kids. So, you know, it was just hard, and I was very distressed because I was very alone and I was in a lot of pain. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and then and you know, I couldn't look after the kids, and it was just awful. So one of the things I did do within all of that, and this is really where the copywriting came from, I set up a charity. So I set up the charity Without Wings and Autoimmune Arthritis Trust.
I was going to ask you about that next, actually. So look at that, Faye. Look at that.
I'm like ruining all your opportunities.
No. Listen, come naturally. Spoken label is never scripted. If the writer answers everything naturally, I was going to ask it. My life's easier. So tell us about the charity then.
Yes, the charity basically, it was awful, my whole experience of having diagnosis and everything else, and you know, and also having had the previous history of, like, you know, severe mental illness. So and the two just didn't marry, and I couldn't believe there was nobody offering counselling, there was no charity that would come to help me out around the house. What are the other things that we do? All kinds of things, just trying to think of the main things that we do. But basically all the things that would have made my life, and more to the point, my family's life, a lot easier at the time, were not available. So I set up the charity to fill all the gaps. And I think in the UK, you get, you know, it's bigger, there's much more access to everything already. So you might have like a counsellor or a physio, whatever. They've got a physio attached to the unit here now, but they didn't have then. You know, they didn't have anything. So basically I raised money, and set up all the charity, the whole concept of it. And it was just to plug that gap so that anybody on the Isle of Man who found themselves in my situation could have free counselling, could have somebody come around, clean the house, could have access to free massages or whatever they wanted, acupuncture, anything they wanted, we would pay for. And there was something else. There are now 9 things that we pay for. So I set all this up, and that was very exciting. But then on the back of it, I kind of found myself being an events organizer. I got really into doing this kind of stuff. So I really went for it. I don't do things by halves. So
I guessed.
So that was really good. And then and so that basically I came out of this big flare when they eventually decided, yes, actually, you do have a really, it's in your hips and you need to have a steroid injection in your hips. And after 18 months, when that happened, I started to improve, and I came out of the flare being a poet who suddenly won the slam over here, which is like a big deal, our slam.
Explain to us next, then, because obviously, am I right in thinking the slam that you won? I'm just trying to find it now. Yes, was that the Manklist Poetry Slam Festival?
Yeah. Manklist Fest Poetry Slam.
Now, if people look round the that, they will see you've won it 3 times. And in between that, you've also been a runner-up on the Short Story Slam. So that's, this is incredibly busy, because people look at the diary in this. You won the poetry one in 2017. You were the Short Story Slam run-up in 1890. Then you went and won the poetry one again in 2020 and 21. That's some going in all of them.
The one I won this year that was a real buzz, because I was coming back as a reigning champion. And last year when I did my piece, I was proud of my piece, and I think it was the one that you might have heard at the UB Hive, but I'd only just finished it, and I memorize everything. I don't read from script. So when I performed it, I was really nervous because I'd only literally finished it the week beforehand, and I hate performing with words. So when I did it last year, I'll be honest, I didn't think I did my best performance. And so I felt a bit kind of, about winning it, because it's the Manx Lit Fest Poetry Slam there's some really good, we're very lucky over here. The Manx Lit Fest in itself is a big event. It's not run the last couple of years, obviously, but it's normally over about, I think it's 6 days or 5 days, and it starts with the Poetry Slam, it ends with the Short Story Slam, and we get all UK people in doing all, Mark Grist has been over for it and stuff like that. It's a really, really good event, and it's fairly high profile. But when I won it this year, right, I was prepped with my piece, and I went in and I grabbed that mic and I slammed it. And coming back as a reigning champion is so nerve-wracking, because you could fall flat on your face. And so I was proud of that. The Short Story Slams. I was 3rd one year, actually. It was and then the other year I was 2nd. The year I was 2nd, I can't remember what story I did for the other one, but the one when I was 2nd, I was dead proud of that piece. I was really proud, and I nearly won it as well. And my mate won it, and she is bloody brilliant. And the judges came up to me at the end, and they said, "Oh, Jackie, there was nothing between you." And I thought I couldn't have beat her, because she's so good, and she needed to win it, and she's like my idol. So that was that was fun.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. I can bet it was giving you bunking when you're putting the pressure on yourself like that. I've never done. I think I've done 3 slams, and I won 2 of them, but they're not for me. They're not for me. I don't like performing to apps. The 2 or 1 were actually to massively drunk audiences, and I thought after the second one, I'm not doing that again. So. Why? That's right. It's just I don't like the pressure. That's why. I became diabetic, and so that buggered out anyway. So pressure wise, brilliant. No, I know. Listen, back to you now. Obviously, we should be talking about your 2 books as well, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because obviously, I want people to talk about your books. Now, I want to ask. Brilliant. I want to do that definitely later on. Now, the first one I want to talk to you about is, and I'm just going to get your website up now on it. When I try and find it, was about On a Ravensdale Hill.
Yeah.
Tell us about that then.
Oh, So, like I said, when I had the second relapse, and so basically with the hip relapse with the arthritis, the second poem I ever wrote was Tartar Taboo, And, you just said about sometimes your first and second ones are like the kind of like, ooh, and then everything's a bit after that. Well, I wrote Tartar Taboo, and I wrote it so what I did when I was rehabilitating and trying to walk again, I started going to this glen, because I used to be a fell runner, and have done mountain biking as well. And I've always been a walker, and I started going to this glen to basically try and walk again, because I hadn't really been able to walk for so long, and it had a really steep hill in this glen. It kills anybody I take there, yeah. But that was my goal, was to get to the top of that bloody hill, right? And the whole glen was called Ravensdale, but I called that hill Ravensdale Hill, even though it's not called Ravensdale Hill. So I was walking around there, but also when I was walking around the glen, I was in a pretty deep state of trauma with everything that had happened, and I started to write all these poems. And then I went to storytelling club. And I said, listen, I've written like these 5 poems here, and I think they're a story, and I think I can tweak, tweak them all a little bit, and I can put in little filler bits, and I think I'm going to have a strong story here. And it became On Ravensdale Hill, and it's 16 minutes, and I performed it I was invited to perform it when we were first doing Zoom in the pandemic, to the Australian Poets Out Loud, I think they're called. They're like an offshoot of the Australian Poetry Slam, and they invited me to do it, so I got to do it on Zoom to those guys. I did the whole story, and they're all going, where can we buy the words, because it's very fast, as you can probably gather, right? I speak quickly.
Not one of these poets that read the words slowly, that's for sure, right? I'm no better, so yeah.
So there's some passages which and it builds throughout the whole thing. Both my books have got a lull in the middle of them. So they're like, it's like da da da, and then it's da, and then it's push at the end. But a lot of people were saying to me, where can we buy the words? And I performed it over here a few times. So that's why I got On Ravensdale Hill. I got Arts Council funding for that and for Asila. And but that to me, it ends. The Tartar Taboo was my 2017, my first Poetry Slam win, and there's an epilogue actually after that, but that's the climax.
Brilliant. No, what I've read of that book, it looks a really fascinating book, it does. Now, obviously, tell us about your second book, your other book then. Have I pronounced this right? Alicia's Song.
Asila's Song.
Asila's Song. No, I haven't. Nowhere near at all, right? That's where perks of dyslexia in there. So, right. So I won't make myself look prat anymore then. So tell us about that book then, and how does that compare then to your other book?
It's also a tragedy.
I will expect little else off you, right? That's all I'm going to say, right?
One day, do you know what? They were supposed to arrive today. All day I've been like, where are they? Because they've only just been printed. So it's not going to be launched officially till next year. But okay, Asila's Song ended up being a 23-minute long play, actually. And it wasn't meant to be a play.
It's always the case with writing that sometimes, isn't it? Yeah, things go off in directions you don't expect. I can relate to that.
I know. I say on the back of Asila's Song that it was inspired by haunting stories and dark secrets from the Isle of Man's eastern coastline, which did inspire. There was a particular story that inspired the final poem in it, whereby a ghost has to. So it's about a ghost, right? But I won't say what happens because I suppose I better not. I keep doing that. I keep telling everybody what happens at the end.
What I always believe is hint and don't tell the full story, right? Even that, just best way, right?
But the ghost needs resolution. So anyway, the poem was the resolution, and then other stuff happens, and I started to create. I can't remember. I just thought, oh God, shit! I'm downloading something. I didn't mean to. It's gone now. I don't know what happened. So the poem, right? So I just thought this poem here needs to have the lead up, because I went and performed it at an open mic and I felt all the power and the energy in it, and I thought people haven't got a fucking clue what I'm talking about here, right? So I thought it needs to have the story, and it ended up being, it's about a ghost who's haunted by she's haunted herself by her angel, and she's also haunted by her ex who drove her to kind of her brutal end. And it's about her seeking revenge. And in the middle of it, she finds like a broken mirror, and And she looks at it and she realizes the reflection is identical to her angel, and she realizes that actually her angel is part of her, and she has to learn what this means and how to integrate it and what it means for her revenge plans. But when I first performed it, we're very lucky over here. Well, I'm sure everyone's got an amphitheatre somewhere, but there's an amphitheatre up on Douglas Head. And the story kind of came from Douglas Head area anyway. So the amphitheatre is like an old Victorian, they've done it up actually. I performed there, performed on Ravensdale there for my book launch in the pissing rain. We had to put all the bloody audience on the stage.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's fun.
Thick mist. It was so grim, it was great. It was good night. But I performed Asila's song there, and I did it with a delay pedal and a big mask. So yeah, basically again it's quite fast paced, and she goes through this whole thing of like, sometimes it's a ghost talking and sometimes it's a mask, which is the angel talking. And so that's what that's all about. But when I put it into the book form, that's when I realized it's actually a play. I didn't really realize until I got it in the book. So you get to see the scenes, and I think reading it and seeing the scenes helps you understand exactly what's going on, because I think just watching it is a very intense, my work tends to be quite intense, but because it's quite intense and sometimes fast, I try and bring it down a little bit. But yeah, anyway, and I self-illustrated both books, but I'm not an artist, so
I've seen the artwork on it, and I think it's quite evocative anyway, because I think to quote Marky Smith from The Fall in England, is sometimes you don't have to be an expert in this one to make something evocative. And your artwork I've seen in your books looks really good. It's distinctive, and I think that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff right in the bin.
It's expected, right? So that's why. So
yeah.
no, brilliant. Good luck with them, definitely. So now, obviously, this podcast will go live in 2022, actually, not 2021, because it was recorded, people are wondering, just for Christmas. Now, I know you've got your going forward as we start to wind down. I know you're thinking about 2 other novels, aren't you, for 2023? But you'd ask people not to hold you to that.
What?
You're thinking of 2 novels, aren't you?
The novel.
Yeah, 2 novels, but you'd ask people not to hold you to this for 2023. So is there anything you want to hint about with these novels?
The novels are basically about a boy who dies when he's still alive. Yeah. And so he ends up in death, and he is still holding on to life in the palm of his hand. And the whole kind of idea is there's nothing more dangerous in death, nor more compelling, nor more cruel than the presence of life. Yeah. So of course all these people are dead, and they're just doing whatever they do in death. They're all ghosts. Well, a mixture. There's ghosts, there's angels, there's demons, there's all kinds of things going on there. But basically he goes in, and there's this whole, basically it's like a bloody virus is what it is, right? It's like it's contamination, I call it in the book. And he goes in, and anybody who touches the life immediately has their eyes forever open to that which they've lost for all eternity, you see. So they immediately succumb to basically demonization, because they're kind of, they are filled with this yearning to have something back they can never have back again, and it destroys them. And it's a whole, but there was the thing is, it's the most complicated story in the world, right? For reasons I haven't got time to go into, but when he gets to death, it's already in a state of chaos. So he doesn't help that chaos. And there's a lot of, and it's basically an unraveling. There's a huge unraveling. So once he gets there, he just unravels all the death. And then he has to work out what that means and how he can pull things back again. And then the second book is just a follow on from that, because, which I'm not going to say what happens, because I can't see what happens in the second book without ruining the first book. Yeah, so
we'll just say, look out for them, but look out for them both next year. That's probably best way of looking at it. So now, obviously,
2023.
Yeah,
we'll
2023.
We'll do it, even though they're like, they need a lot of work. But the first book is called The Boy Without Wings, and the charity that I formed is called Without Wings. Now, actually, to be honest, there's no correlation between the two, apart from it just seemed like a good name.
Coincidences, don't you?
It was. Yeah, but his journey as well, symbolically, because I was really sick when I wrote it with the first Starfighters Fair. Symbolically, it when I look at it now, it was a journey back to life, and I was really sick, and I was trying to get my journey back to life, and I lived my life because my whole life had fallen apart, I lived it through the eyes of my characters. And to me, my characters became the most real thing imaginable, because
Yeah, you do. You do. When a novel takes over your life, it's like that. A friend of mine, who I'm not going to name, has got that because he's been working on a novel for about 5-6 years now, and he's fell in love with the female lead on it, and he keeps telling me he's never going to meet a woman like that. So it does happen. It does happen. That sort of thing. It takes over your life, doesn't it? They become that realistic. Yeah, can get you completely. Good luck with all of them, definitely. So now, that's pretty well covered all my questions for today, Jackie. So we'll let you now then do the hard sell. Where can people get your books from?
Okay, so you can either go to my website, and then there's a little link there to an online shop. So that is www.jackiemorreygrace.weebly.com. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's where I'm getting most of my information from you today. I was hoping you were going to say that page.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the Isle of Man, which many people aren't, or no, they are. There's $86,000. So if you're on the Isle of Man, I've got it in the local bookshop. It did just sell out, but they've restocked it now, so they've got more. Both books, Asila Song will be in there as soon as it arrives. And then I've also, so on my website, that links to a website called quirky.im, where I can, where you can buy them.
You're definitely that one. Now, I know you're on Facebook as well, aren't you? So you've got a Facebook page as well, which is J. Morrey Grace Poetry. People can check you out on that one. And
I don't too much on that. It's more Instagram where I put stuff on.
Yeah, I was just going to say you do. I know you're Instagram as well, aren't you? If people want to find you on Instagram, where are the best going in Instagram?
Jackie's Wicked Rhymes.
Sounds good to me. So, right, okay. Well, that's pretty covered all. I'm not going to ask what these wicked rhymes are, so you might get the podcast taken off the air.
Don't worry, I'm going to be really safe tonight.
Don't bother me. Right, what we'll do? Well, that's all the question here, Jackie. So we'll let you take a quick break. I've had a good laugh today, so it's been brilliant. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, Jackie's going to do some pieces for us. So this is going to be great because I love doing old Beehive. I judged the slam. I said at the time to you, Jackie, I thought you could have won that, but one of those things really, wasn't it? So, as I would say, so.
Oh, it's kind of you to say that.
And I mean it always. So, right, guys, it goes. We'll see you in a minute.
Spoken Label.
Hey guys, right, straight over to Jackie now. She's going to complete. No, I think she's going to completely surprise me and you today. So, over to you, Jackie.
Surprise myself. Okay, so pieces. All right then. Let's start with this one. I just like this one. It's called Wasp. Well, it's not. It's called the Latin version of Wasp. But I can't say that. So, okay. You said I was a natural hazard, my tongue a hypodermic needle inserted beneath your skin in searing shots of hot buttered poison dispersed in the iron of your blood in floods. In floods, in vitally venomous nervous system paralysis, you, my victim, me, the climatic ascent of your dreams, your perfection, a burst of what it means to feel beneath your skin my sting in anaphylaxis. You said I was a natural hazard then, and gave me your red mouth to kiss.
Ooh, that's very visual straight away, that one. Wow.
That wasn't my best version of it. Okay, all right, so that's one. And then this one, so this one I've actually turned into a song, but I won't do it. Well, it's not a song, it's poetry over music kind of thing. And it's called Stardust, and it's more mellow, and I've got to remember how it starts. Hang on, give me a minute. Oh, to feel such awe. Life's insignificance gift wrapped and moonbeam ribbon clapped in the magnificence of a moment's meditation upon the falling of a star. The night is raw, infused of wood smoke and a bright star-soaked sky with frost and snow and a foot in a moon cupped in my hand as I reach up in a vaporous puff from my mouth as I breathe out and wonder what. That whole worlds might form from the dust of the stars when dying stars fall, that I might exist at all. For if this is what it takes to feel such awe, let them fall, let them fall, let the dying stars fall.
I really like that then, because it's a complete different tone to your Wasp piece, that was. It felt almost a bit more traditional, actually, it really didn't. And the rhythm on it, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
This piece is called Blackbird, and this is for Gary Huskinson, right? I turned it into a song for him, and the actual poem itself was written on the back of I Do Mark Chris Wright Club, which I should give a little plug here, actually. Wright Club, yay! Hello, Right Club gang. So this was one of the themes of the week, I think. Well, I think it was a theme. I don't know. Anyway, so it's called Blackbird. There's a blackbird in my bathroom. There's a blackbird in my sink. He's a silver tongue that's wagging through an orange blackbird beak. His legs are all akimbo. His breasts a bulge of plume. His rattle is a cross between a blackbird and an MG42. He's got no rhythm, rhyme or reason, a wild addition to my bathroom. He's erratic and he's frantic with his flamboyant antics. Cocksure, cock-eyed, cocktailed, cockfighting with his double, a musketeer, a buccaneer, I'm a raiding menace of a filibuster in my mirror. Oh, I'd like to catch his blackbird, but his wings are all a scuff. He's vociferous in his madness, a hell of a hullabaloo are all a fuss. He's a wayward rogue, a pirate, with sails all black to roam the sea. Thinks he's some shipmate's parrot, but he's still a blackbird to me. And so I bid him well as he veers towards the tide. Release the latch, let go, man, the blackbird's on the fly. Release the latch, let go, the blackbird's on the fly. Release the latch, let go, the blackbird's on the fly.
I really enjoyed that. Considering that you said you can't really sing, that's a fairly good effort, that, to be honest with you.
I can't sing. Do you know, I've just joined a choir and I'm not a singer. I always thought I couldn't sing at all, but I just was walking through the hills and that tune came to me and I thought, oh, that has got to, because I had a book launch for Ravensdale Hill, like I said, at the amphitheatre, and put the crowd on the stage, and I opened it with that, you see, and the whole thing was called The Magpies. And yeah, and my husband had never heard me sing before, so that was quite funny because he was like, whoa.
Right. Was he stood there crying, was he, afterwards, or I'm not going to say which.
Tears of horror.
I didn't say that. Okay, what have we got next for us?
I like doing storytelling stuff, or kind of stuff that's like about wonder and awe. You know, I like to avoid real life stuff and the messagey things, but I do write the messagey stuff for the slams. So I've written a couple. So it's why whenever I do a slam, I only do the same couple. But anyway, this is, oh shit, I'll do my 2021 Manx Lit Fest poetry slam win.
Go for it.
But it gives away my age.
Oh, well, listen, I'm older than you, so don't worry about that, right?
Yeah, not by much. I was really glad, actually. It was a real thing. When I got on stage, I was like, yes, everybody knows how old I am now. This is great. It's liberating. So anyway, okay. It hasn't got a title. So in 4.5 billion years, this earth has soared through these skies. And here we all are, caught up in the individual universes of our own unique lives. Little bundles of neurosis, monkey minds, primitive urges, hopes, dreams, fears, expectations, chaos, clutching at anything that might give our lives meaning. So tell me why, oh why, oh why must we negate half these precious years of our minuscule lives by being ageist? It's a unique phenomena, don't you think? That when the average lifespan is less than a flash in the pan in terms of existence, that we scathe, undermine, sneer at and dismiss people just for getting older. And I appreciate youth. That's not the point. Youth has a beauty that cannot be surpassed. And my heart is crushed when I hear the pressures that our youth are under just to fit other social expectations that are also mere fabrications of limited imaginations. But here's the thing. The passing of time cannot be controlled by Botox or hair dyes or white lies on forms, yet so many people I know who hit 40 feel silenced and dump themselves in a box of washed up. And why? Why? Because society lies to us. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret that I very rarely share. I started rapping age, here you go, 42 on a festival stage wearing gold flares, but it was 2 years before I told my bandmates that I wasn't 38. Why? Because some people felt that as I straddled 40 that I should feel ashamed. And it took me a while to realise that actually I was doing just fine. In fact, for the first time in my life, I finally felt I knew my mind, and I've worked hard to get here, and I have learned hard along the way, and I've heard some bullshit spoken by people who think they have a right to spit closed-minded opinions just to gaslight the wise and the old ones, but I am big enough now, which is why my voice is loud. Because when I was young, I was too afraid of life to be someone. which is sad, because now I know what no one ever tells you. It is hard, but it's beautiful getting older. Friendships deepen, expectations lessen. You no longer take shit or get starstruck. And why? Because if you've lived long enough, you'll know seasons shift like falling stars, stop and blink, and they'll be gone. Every summer, winter, spring, and autumn, because for 4.5 billion years, the Earth has soared through these skies. So even if you live to 100, you'll only ever have 0.00002% of that time to learn how to live your life. And getting old is a privilege. It's not a right, it's not a given. So how's it a curse? And is it not time to call it out for what it is? More time to love, to learn, to laugh, to live, to leave. Our small, small print on big, old Earth.
Excellent piece.
I stumbled over a word. I tripped.
I'm always stumbling over words. I don't worry about it. You know what it is? When you stumble over words, it makes you more human then, so I don't worry about it.
Yeah, of course it does.
If you stumble over half the piece about 10 times, that's a different ballgame. You know, people think you're drunk on stage, but excellent.
Yeah, I sometimes wish I could get drunk. I don't drink alcohol because of the arthritis. So, and sometimes I notice, people drink before open mics and everything, and I think I wish, because when I used to play jazz trombone in London, I used to get absolutely fucking hammered, I couldn't. I had really bad stage fright. I couldn't do it unless I was really drunk, and a few friends sort of had an alcohol problem, but luckily I fell pregnant, so it was like I couldn't drink then.
Oh, damn it. I will have the odd drink, but I'm not prepared to go on stage with any alcohol down me. I'll have a drink, might have the odd drink afterwards, but not before. So, right, I tell you what, to wrap up then tonight, you're going to send that music track over to me anyway. So you were going to do me an extract, weren't you, from your book?
They're grit and dirt, just like the earth. They're young, their hearts have yet to turn to stone. They know my soul, they bleed with me, their every movement keen to read the pain I wear upon my sleeve. As one me move, as one me breathe, they light and bright and preen my feathers, streamline tight, and they feed my rage with dancing words till finally their work is done. I cast them off and I emerge a phoenix brighter than I'd ever dreamed, with feathers strewn with blades of flame. They sever out like tender limbs of lamb, sacrificed to appease as God to strike the hearts of those of us who dare to play love's brutal game. And with this gift of renewed strength, I rise from ashes once dismissed as dust, a brightness now to rival even that of which the summer's sun does boast. I navigate, I circulate, air's breath is hot as fire in mine. I murmurate, I plummetate, fast rhythmic swoops up and down around the sky. I beat my wings, I clash my claws. I dance a dance most pure, most wild, a vortex filled with rage and power, strength gathering by hour, by hour, by hour, by hour, till thunderous victorious deliverance and sufferance and bathed in glorious defiance. I strip off the blinkers that for far too long have suffocated my unhappiness, and I declare war! Silence, old raven. I will hear no more of your flapping dark wings, of your taboo call. I'll not stroke your curious head as it cocks to one side, nor tap your tip-tappity claw, nor steal a peek inside your hypnotic-hued eyes. Be shushed, sweet raven. Your words are but empty shells on a shingle. You have no pearls to goad my temptation or to test my good reason. Keep your beak for the rats. You're too weak for large prey. Your taboo raven, farewell and good day. Steady there. You weather the storm and you circle the skies, but let it be known, if you must feast on feast stolen, then I for one will not be your carrion, being as I am, a feast that is also forbidden. Pray silence, my raven, your taboo is deafening. You're boring me, raven, it swoops on my back, calls ta-ta-ta, taboo, my ear, and spits its hackety cack on my cheek. Oh, shoo, raven, shoo, I will scavenge your tongue. And let it be known to each and all and everyone who might lend an ear to the catspaw of your tongue that it's a lie of temptation from the unkindness of the raven. You've tricked my raven. But no croak will lay me down on heath soft as butter, nor rope me up like the yielding egg that you greedily pecked, and it drips from the tip of your monstrous beak, and no more is left save the notch on your wing, and the saliva that meanders down a tataboo chin. Yes, tataboo raven, tataboo claw, your talons are fierce, but you're the hunter no more. I'm tataboo raven, your sharp mouth is mine, and moments are thrilling your tataboo valleys of time. Tataboo raven, beat to my drum. I will feed till I split with satiation. I will gorge myself drunk. Tataboo raven, tataboo, such a sweet feast and so forbidden. Let me gobble up you. Are you tired now?
Wow.
That's the climax. There's a little epilogue.
Wow. That's tremendous.
There's a bit of an epilogue when she feels a bit bad because she ate him, but you know.
Excellent, tremendous. That. All I can say to that one is like it's anyway. Obviously, you're only going to hear the audio on this, but Jackie's it's been arms have been flowing everywhere. Almost like she's putting a magic spell on me there, and I've just sat there thinking, "My God, that was incredible." Well, thank you today for that, Jackie. That really was tremendous stuff. Been a really good session. I've had a great laugh with you, and I've been left spellbound with your pieces in the second half. So thank you again.
Oh, you're so kind. I'm really grateful. Nobody ever asked me to do anything, so I'm so grateful. That's really kind. And it's brilliant to meet you.
As well. So I'd love to get you on again, definitely in the future. So now hang around because I do need to quick word you off microphone. Just get this saved in a minute. So, but anyway, guys and girls, that's it for today. So as Don Callis at Impact Wrestling always says, stay safe and stay over. And we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Spoken Label.